Hi. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. How are you guys doing? I know I've been posting a whole bunch of just convention vlogs, but that's what I've had. So I haven't actually sat down and just talked to my camera in a little bit. So what are we making today exactly? Well, I'm so glad you asked. You were like, it's like you're reading my mind. It's like you're in here. For the con crunching of Fan Expo last month, my roommate put on Epic the Musical, all of the animatics, all 2.5 hours of it for us to watch while we were con crunching. And I had heard some of the songs and stuff like that on TikTok over the last like year or so as the bits of the album have been released. I actually had one of the songs on one of my playlists without really knowing what it was from. I just liked it, and so I put it on there. All that being said, I'd never actually sat down and listened to the entirety of the album. Something you might not know about me is when I was just a wee little child, 12, 13? Actually, no. 10 to 12 was dinosaurs. 13 to like 15 was the ancient world. But more specifically, I was like really into Rome, Greece, and Egypt. And I loved the history and the mythos and everything. Like, if it was ancient world Mediterranean, I was there. I was there, man. I wanted to know all about it. I needed, it was in my brain, and I was insane about it. Listening to the musical, my brain was transported back to early teenage me, and it grabbed me by the throat, and been the only thing I've been able to think about. Also the only thing I've been able to listen to. Like, Stray Kids just came out with a new album, and I was like, nah, I gotta listen to Epic the Musical. That says something. Anybody who knows me knows that like the last 2 years, the only thing that has been coming out of my mouth anytime somebody starts talking to me is, that reminds me of this one thing that Stray Kids did. And everyone's like, shut the fuck up about Stray Kids. So what is the point of this video? What is the point of this video? This is part 1 in a series where I am going to be creating little outfits for various characters in Epic the Musical based on partially some of the animatics, partially on actual Grecian clothing of the time, mixing a bit of the mythos and the history, as it were. I will be taking you along for the ride because why not? Strap in, buddy. The first character that I want to recreate in my little series of recreating different characters from the musical is Penelope. Unfortunately, there hasn't been a specific Penelope design that has come out from the animatics that has like gripped me quite like that one. So we are going to be doing more of a historical method for making this. Now, one of the things that I want to kind of do with this series is I want to use fabric from my stash or sheets and things like that that can then be reused into other projects later. I don't want to make a lot of cuts, do a lot of sewing. I want everything that I use in this project to be able to have a life down the road, because I have so many costumes that just sit in my closet having been worn once or twice, where I make these big huge builds and then I wear them a lot over the course of like 6 months to a year, and then they just sit there. And I can't really reuse parts of those costumes because some of them are so specific. So the great thing that I thought I would be able to do with Grecian styled clothing is the fact that a lot of it is just rectangles and squares and cording and different things, and then it's all just like pinned, or I can do very little hand stitching to then make everything fit the way that it needs to, but then be able to easily come apart and be used for something else.
So the first thing I always do when I am creating a new costume is I make a Pinterest board, and I save a lot of things that come to mind for inspiration and things like that. And the colors that were really standing out to me for Penelope was blues and white and gold. Something I noticed a lot in the different design choices that the animators took with the animatics is the use of blue, and I really enjoyed the use of blue, so I ended up going with blue for my color palette. For the dress design, I went with something called a péplos. I actually don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how I'm pronouncing it. I also knew I really wanted to make some sort of crown. I took a lot of inspiration for the crown from this art that I saw. And now with that all out of the way, let's make a costume.
So, the first thing we're gonna start with is the base of the dress. That's gonna be the easiest place to start. What I have folded on here right now is just for me to like figure out the logistics about how you do this. Now, this is a sheet I bought at the thrift store. I think it was $5. It's also way too long, so I'm going to cut it because I don't feel like tripping all over myself. I'm also going to cut off this like thicker part of the top of the sheet because I feel like that's just going to create unnecessary bulk and it's gonna make it look too much like a sheet. I'm gonna go trim this, take off the pieces I don't like, and then I'm gonna actually show you how to do this. Okay, so the way you're gonna take your sheet and make it into something that actually is going to work, you're gonna make sure you have the long side of the sheet. You don't want the short side of the sheet. You want the longest width of the sheet. This is my longest side. And then this is the shorter side. And now I need to make it a length that fits and works with my body. So I want it to fold over whatever this amount is. There we go, I need this. Okay, so this is about the amount of drape that I want, which is, oh yeah, I'm really good at this, 12.5 inches or 31.5 centimeters. And then I'm going to take this from my shoulder, put it down to the floor, and I'm gonna cut off wherever it hits about my ankle, which means I'm gonna cut off about 14 inches of fabric. And the way that I'm gonna get a super straight line across the bottom is I'm just going to cut into the fabric. And then somewhere somebody's going to cry about me doing this. Just rip it. This is going to be used for mock-ups later on down the line. This isn't gonna actually be made into anything. And so it doesn't need to be like super precise, but I don't like, but I don't like the look of like an uneven cut, and I want to make sure that the cut is as straight as possible. Now, actually, before I'm going to put this onto my dress form, I am going to sew on with a long stitch this really pretty like trim here. This stuff is so pretty. It also has like the leaf details because there's like a chart of a lot of like popular motifs that were used, and I really liked this because it's like gold and has leaves on it.
Okay, making this is really easy. You're going to take your big rectangle, you're going to fold it in half. That's going to be one side of the garment. Then you're going to fold down however long you want that front, that like top extra flowy bit to be. I don't know what it's called. And then you're going to pin it in two places at the shoulder, however much you want the overhang to be in the front and however much you want it to be like open on the sides. I tried it on to make sure that it was going to, you know, fit all nicely. And then I put it back on my dress form. You also don't need to have a dress form for this. It's really easy to do without one. It's just a little easier for sewing certain things back on. I then went and just kind of made sure that everything sat the way I wanted it to. This is after I changed the length of the top flap because I wanted a little extra length on the bottom because I actually should never have cut the sheet. It was the perfect length beforehand. I'm just a silly little guy. So there's that.
So I kind of forked up on the length and took off too much. I actually shouldn't have taken anything off. I don't know why I did. Ta-da! So this skirt is from my Penelope Cosplay. It is literally a rectangle that I pleated down onto a waistband that is also a rectangle, and it snaps in the back. I will wear this underneath of this if necessary. I'm gonna put some buttons to have as the clasps at the top here, and that should actually kind of complete the dress.
So I am a chronic button hoarder and buy all of the buttons that I can possibly get my hands on when I go to Value Village or other thrift stores. So I have a lot of buttons that I can use for this. I am just using like a kind of fancy looking gold button. From the research that I did, it looked like these garments were usually pinned on, but I didn't want to just use a safety pin, so I sewed on the buttons and I thought it looked great.
Hey, yo. So instead of the weird tie method I had going on, I have this belt that I thrifted like a long time ago, and it's just like a chain that's woven. I think like the secret to this looking nice is just constantly adjusting these until you get it to lie the way that you want it to. This is from the thrift store. It was $6. Take that off. There's a garbage can over there. This is just a bit of, I want to say it is cotton. It's just kind of like a sheer blue fabric. I like it. It looks nice, and I now need to figure out how I'm going to drape that onto this in a way that looks neat.
I added this for the drama, for the flair, a little flash of fabric, mostly because I didn't want just like the white, the only thing basically being the white and the gold, and then only having a little blue veil. So that's kind of why I did this. So yeah, I thought it looked cool. It's literally just tied at the shoulder. That's what it is. It is a rectangle tied at my shoulder, and then I did end up tucking it behind the belt.
Yeah, I like this. And then I've got this here to make a veil. Everything is working out, lads. I will probably actually just tie these together at the top. There we have it. That's the base of the costume done. Now I need to make some jewelry of some kind, and I need to make a diadem or like a crown, and yeah. So as far as jewelry goes for this, I have some things here. I have this lovely little bracelet. I'm not much of a gold jewelry person. I'm more of a silver, but I do own like a bit of gold. I have this necklace. It's like a choker. I really like that one. And then this one is a, what store was that called? Spencer's, I believe. Like many a year ago. I probably owned this for 6 years, I want to say. It's a matching one with my roommate. I then went to the dollar store and found this pretty little ring. Success. But you can get more shots of my sausage hands. Have these for the diadem or the crown. And they're falling off. Those I bought at Christmas time at the dollar store. For the diadem, it's going to be this gold metallic fabric that I bought at the dollar store, once again. And then I have this, this is like a 3mm, 4mm EVA foam, and that's going to be the base for the diadem. And then this is going to be the gold bits of it because I don't feel like painting and lots of work. And then this is going to be some of the detail because I found some really cool art of a diadem that looked like it had like beads going along the top, and I thought it would be really neat to make those beads pearls. Let's make a diadem.
The first thing I did was measure this point between my ears, which was about 12 and a half, 13 inches. I did add a little bit extra to account for the wig. Using those measurements, I made sure that the piece of paper I was going to use for my pattern was long enough, and then I kind of free-handed the pattern because it was a basic crown shape. Also, to make sure that my crown was symmetrical on both sides, I only sketched the pattern out on one side of the paper and folded it in half, like you can see here. I started at the top point with the thickest, the tallest point. I think it was like 3 inches, and then I just kind of arced that down to where it ended in about 1 inch. Then I cut it out, and don't worry, those are not my fabric scissors. Those are dollar store fabric scissors that I bought, and I've used them for craft for a while. Don't fight me. Now that you have your banana shape, I tried it on my head to make sure that I liked it, and then proceeded to move into the next phase, which is EVA foam. I placed this down on my EVA foam. I sketched it out with a marker, so that way it would transfer between the two and I would make sure that I had like the straightest line. Because I'm entirely covering the EVA foam, it won't matter if it has little teeth marks from the scissors. I just cut that out with a pair of scissors. And then I try again to see if I like the shape, and I do. It looks nice. Then on the wrong side of the gold fabric, I trace out a banana shape that is larger than the original shape of your pattern, so that way it can fold over the thickness of your EVA foam. And then like before, you cut that banana out. Now we take the holy grail of cosplay, the hot glue gun with my lovely Gorilla Glue. I swear by it, and we are going to glue this bad boy down to the EVA foam. Work in small portions, and then also clip around the corners so that way it lies flat and you don't have weird puckering, and just go for it. Also, try not to burn yourself. Give it a little second before you go pressing down on that glue. It can be very hot. I have a very fancy, well, it's not even that fancy of a glue gun, but it gets hot, let me tell you what, and you don't want to burn yourself. So go slow, be careful, work in small portions. I cut an identical little banana shape at the back, so that way I can cover the back of this thing and it will not be ugly, because I do not want it to be ugly. And I just hot glued that bad boy on. And now we no longer have an ugly back of this crown. Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, she is sparkly, she is glittery, and she is crown-shaped. Now I'm going to hot glue once again some ribbon onto the back of this thing so that way I can attach it to my head. I thought about doing elastic, but I was not intelligent and I didn't sew any elastic on to this, so we're using a ribbon, which works just fine, I'll have you know. And to finish the crown, I went ahead and hand sewed on a bunch of these giant pearl beads. The best way to do that was to go in from the front and then pull the bead through the back, pull the bead through, and then wrap around again and go back in through the front, and that kept them stationary at the top.
If I was feeling more spicy, I'd probably put another row along here. This is kind of reading French hood 15th century fashion. So with the costume being done now, and then having the diadem, and I've got a veil and some other jewelry, but I think what might be fun is to take you guys along for the ride of me styling a set. Making sets is one of my favorite things to do. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of Grecian themed things, so this is going to be interesting. Yeah, I'm exploiting you for content. So this is what we've got to work with. This is the space. It is just my closet and the wall. So,
do you have anything to say, to add? Yeah, let's go. Okay, fine, I'll put you down. You're the one that wanted to come into my room. I don't know what you expect from me. Building sets for me to film my content on is so fun, but I don't do it as often for everything. So it also is a really chaotic process. My gosh, I'm watching myself do this and I'm like, where was the thought process? Can you tell that I have ADHD, that my brain is only barely here, that I have a thought and then I have another thought and then I have a different thought? Oh, fun fact about this painting. My high school best friend painted this for me. It's Mount Baker, actually, that is visible from the city I live in. And she painted this for me like several years ago. I want to say easily 2016. She also painted this painting for me the very first time I was ever introduced to Twilight. We watched all 4 movies one night. I was so sleep deprived. I don't remember of them. I have since gone back and rewatched, I think, 2 of them, but yeah, that's the story of this painting. I don't know if you enjoy this time-lapse footage of me building a set, but I'm gonna let you be alone with it and the music for a second. Actually, I'm not. That's a lie. I I bought these flowers initially for doing Demon Slayer, but I don't think I ever used them for that. But you have actually seen these in my sets and things like that if you've seen any of my shorts content, because I've owned these flowers for like so long. That vase of flowers is also something I've owned for a very long time. I am a little bit of a pack rat. I hold on to things. I keep things. I'm a little insane. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. I hope this helps you figure out how you would style your own sets in the future. Any corner of your house can work. Any little bits of fabric you can drape on the wall, a little bit of lighting, a little bit of foliage, looks very nice. Looks very nice. It's set dressing is, yes, a little bit of an art, but it's also a little bit of chaos. And yeah, just do what makes you happy, honestly. Yeah, I'm gonna leave you with the footage now. All right, chat. What are we thinking? Yes? No? I really wish I had some sort of like pillar that I could put somewhere, but this is as good as it's gonna get. This is hiding, you know, modern fixtures. I think this isn't too bad. I like it. And now, I guess it's time for the reveal. I guess it's time for the final thoughts, the wrap up. What do I think? How do I feel? Incredibly beautiful. Like, I don't usually feel like stunning in a cosplay, but I do. This is beautiful. I feel lovely. I think it's partially due to this wig. No, the makeup, it suits my face very well. And I like the, like,
highlight that I used and things like that. Now, costume-wise, I really like this. This is quite flattering for my body. So I'm quite happy with it. This is so cute. I was worried it was going to come off a little costumey, but it's actually really cute, and I really love the bead details, like the pearls. I don't think this would have looked as good without the pearls. Like, I feel like the pearls really give it kind of a regal, like, aesthetic. I love this. I definitely think y'all should, like, make yourselves some Grecian garb and just, like, throw a party. This is something that will be able to easily be turned into something else later on down the line when I want to use this fabric for whatever. When I want this trim back, I can easily rip this off the fabric. So this ends up being quite a eco-friendly cosplay, because it can just immediately be something else that I need it to be. These buttons are, you know, easily removed and I can use them again. These jewelry is things I can use again. This is, you know, it's kind of vaguely giving history, so I could probably wear it to an SCA event if I really wanted to. Also, the set is so cute and made for some very beautiful videos. So if you want to see some shorts content, I'll post it here. If you want to stick around for this series and see what other characters I create, currently in the plans, in the works, is 100%. I really want to do Athena, so I'm gonna make like a breastplate and like some cool stuff. It's gonna be a whole thing. I'm very excited. And then also to kind of fit in with that, because there's also like some of the music that I want to recreate, I'll need to do Telemanus. But nope. I can't think of his name right now. Telemachus! My son. So I'm gonna cosplay Telemachus. Gosh damn it. That's the plan. Overall, I really like this cosplay. This was really fun. And thanks. Yeah, no, I really appreciate it if you actually watch the entirety of this video. You're lovely. I love you. You know, maybe like, I don't know, give it a little like. Just give it a little like. Just give it a little like, please. And if you're feeling really saucy, comment something. Tell me who you would cosplay in Epic the Musical. And if you're feeling extremely saucy, you could send this video to a friend or an alternate Instagram account. Like, if you have two, send it to one of like I don't know, like, maybe it. Please. Thank you. Bye. No matter how, where, or when you're mine, don't tell me you're not the same person. You're always my husband and I've been waiting. Oh, this is falling off. One second, I gotta fix it. So the veil is just like bobby pinned to the wig. And this wig is just my, oh my god, what's it called? Final Fantasy VII. She's in pink. What's her name? Aerith. This is just my Aerith wig. I got like, I got a bit of a line. I used to have so much more.